A once-in-a-lifetime event is about to take place in North America, and millions of people plan on making the quest to go see it in person. The total solar eclipse of 2024 is going to be breathtaking, and I believe everyone should try and go see it. But just simply traveling to the path of totality might not be enough. One little cloud could block your view of the sun, causing you to miss the whole thing. In this video, I'm going to try to nail down where the skies are going to be clear during the solar eclipse and where they will likely be blocked by clouds. Now, this is no easy task. The total solar eclipse will cross over a dozen states as it traverses from Texas to Maine on the afternoon of April 8th. That's a big forecast area. And as of making this video, we are still 11 days away from April 8th. Forecasting large weather systems and just ballpark high temperatures is very difficult 11 days out, let alone trying to nail down where clouds are going to be. But millions of people will be traveling to try and experience this very rare eclipse. You see, this one's going to be special because it has a wider path of totality than usual, which theoretically should mean that more people can get to see it. Totality during this eclipse is also going to last longer than usual, and the sun is currently in a period of increased activity, so the corona should look extra fascinating. So we have to start giving the weather and cloud cover that day some serious thought here. And to do that, we're going to start this forecast off by looking at climatology. Basically, we need to know what April 8th has looked like during previous years in this part of the country to try to come up with some idea of what this year could be like. And the first thing I have to mention here is that it's spring. And the thing about spring in the US is there's lots of warm and cool air fighting with each other right over the states. As winter air exits and spring air emerges, these battles are notorious for causing cloud cover and rain. So it's already much more likely that we're going to see greater cloud coverage during this eclipse than we did during the last one. The most recent total solar eclipse here in the US was back in 2017, and it happened in August. The skies were mostly clear across the entire path of totality thanks to the dry summer pattern in place. I went to this eclipse myself, and I remember thinking about how lucky we were that there was not a single cloud in the sky to block our view. I don't really think we're going to get so lucky this time. I mean, just take a look at this animation from the University of Wisconsin compiling satellite images over the last 50 years from the same time that our eclipse will occur. Almost all of these show expansive cloud cover right over the path of totality, especially in the Northeast and Ohio Valley and around the Great Lakes. Over the past 60 to 70 years, it's usually more cloudy than not in places like Missouri, Ohio, and New York in early April. And then further south and west, you've got places like Dallas and Southwest Texas that are more likely to be sunny. It's very important to note that just because climatology says that it's pretty likely that a lot of the path of totality will be covered with clouds on April 8th doesn't mean that it's set in stone. Weather patterns vary wildly year to year and month to month and day to day. Maybe this year we're going to be in a clearer pattern than years past. In order to figure that out, we have to take a look at some forecast models. These are going to help us learn exactly what's going to happen as we approach April 8th, so we know where to go to experience the solar eclipse. And speaking of learning, we have to shout out today's sponsor, Brilliant. Learn interactively. If you're watching this video, you're probably a big fan of learning. I try my best to make these videos fun, interactive, and educational because the best way to be prepared, not scared, when a big storm is coming is to truly understand everything about it and what causes it. And I think a similar sentiment could be said about anything that you want to learn about, really. So if you are interested in learning, today's sponsor is going to be awesome for you. Brilliant.org is hands down the best platform to learn math, data science, and computer science interactively. Imagine exploring thousands of lessons ranging from the basics to more advanced topics, all in a familiar, fun, and interactive way. And the best part is that Brilliant adds new lessons every month. No matter what the subject matter is, whether you're a beginner or you're already an expert in the field, there's something there for you. And the part that I really like is that you get to learn at your own pace and there's no pressure. Brilliant's interactive approach is 6 times more effective than passive learning. So here's the deal. You can start learning for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description or going to brilliant.org/Ryan Hall. And hey, the first 200 of you are going to get a 20% off deal on your annual plan. Just go ahead and click that link in the description and start your journey with Brilliant today. You won't regret it. And then let's get back. Taking a look at the GFS, things look pretty active from now all the way up until April 8th. In fact, on April 1st and April 2nd, there's already an enhanced and a slight risk of severe weather for those days as I'm filming this. It looks like there's going to be a large storm system that causes a widespread severe weather outbreak during this time period. And just a side note here, if you live in any of these places and this event hasn't happened yet as you're watching this video, video, you should definitely pay attention to the weather. This looks like a big April severe weather outbreak. And this is the kind of pattern that we should expect to be in April. It's storm season. So another storm is probably going to come in right after that one. And once again, taking a look at the GFS here, you can see exactly how the pattern unfolds as we go through the rest of next week, where a big trough is expected to move in from the west. This means that pretty much all of the path of totality would have the chance of being cloudy, except for maybe this little sliver of the northeast. And this is really interesting because that's where climatology says it should be most cloudy. The solution on the GFS is very probable, though. If we actually do get a storm system setting up in the central US like this, there's a good chance out in front of it is going to be very warm and nice and mostly clear of clouds, especially south of the warm front. This is a pretty big weather system and the signal for it has been consistent, so I'm starting to have some confidence that this might be the case here. But of course, that's just one run of one model. What does the Euro model say? Unfortunately, this is still so far away that the European model doesn't even have predictive images that far out. But as you can see on the 7th, that trough we saw in the GFS is still there. And it looks like it's heading right for the central US, bringing clouds and rain right along with it. The Euro does seem a little bit less bullish than the GFS as far as the overall impact of the storm goes. But remember, all it's going to take is one cloud to block your view. The intensity of the rainfall coming out of that cloud really doesn't matter. So to be honest, looking at all these forecast models, it doesn't really paint a much brighter picture than just looking at climatology. But once again, I have to emphasize that we are still very distant from this event and the forecast is going to change. But with all that being said, here's my official preliminary 2024 total solar eclipse cloud cover forecast. All of these areas shaded in red have the highest probability of experiencing overcast skies during the solar eclipse. The farther north you go, the more confident I am in this prediction, especially here in the States. Now, take a look at these areas shaded in yellow. These places are going to be in what I call a toss-up. There is a slightly better chance of actually being able to see the eclipse if you're in the yellow zone. Some of these places will be cloudy, some of them will get peaks of sunshine, and some of them might just be mostly clear. We're going to know more once we get closer. And the green is where I'm most confident that we're going to have clear skies. These are the only areas where I think there's going to be more sky visible than cloud cover, and you've got a pretty good chance of actually seeing and experiencing totality there. It's not 100%, but it's better than the yellow and the red areas. So there you have it, my preliminary and honestly too early 2024 cloud cover total solar eclipse forecast. This is going to change, and once we get within 2 to 3 days of the event, I'm going to post another video on my extra channel with the fine details of where it's going to be cloudy and where it's going to be sunny. Make sure you go subscribe to that channel if you haven't already, and slap that like button. Stay tuned to the forecast, and I'll see you under the shadow of the moon. Goodbye. Ooh.